Good day guys, Pancho here with the Pajero, and today is bash plate day. We're finally going to fit a full kit of bash plates for the Pajero. Since I bought this thing, I've been pretty worried about all the things that are exposed underneath. The front diff actuator, the little solenoids for the transmission and everything. So this is going to be a huge upgrade because Pajeros by themselves, they already have pretty good ground clearance thanks to the IFS and IRS. So this is going to be exactly what I needed to be able to slide over obstacles and be completely protected. So today I'm going to be fitting this set of RHS bash plates. They are made out of alloy 5083. It's marine grade alloy. They're extremely light, 6 mil. I'm pretty sure this is the Pagani equivalent of bash plates for your four-wheel drive. So talking about thickness, Red offers 3 different options from 4 mil to 6.1 mils. The first 2 options being marine grade 5083 and the last option 6.1 is aircraft grade 6061 T6 alloy. You can check all these options along with the different kits that Red offers on his eBay website. First of all, since they're so damn cool, I want to show you guys some features about them, and after that we're gonna go straight into the install process. So this complete kit comes with the front bash plate that covers the intercooler in diesel models, the sump plate, transmission plate and transfer case plate. So starting with the front plate, you have full contact across the top of the front plate against the vehicle cross member, making the bash plate much stronger and reducing point loads on the cross member itself, which is basically thin sheet metal. Also, you maximize the angle of attack against obstacles. It also comes with lattice mesh, which retains good strength on the plate itself, and it also provides way more airflow compared to the original one. And one of the things that I really liked about the front bash plate is that it comes with these side vents, which constricts the air basically against the intercooler, and also providing way more strength, way more rigidity on the sides. And now with the sump plate, there's a little laminated bin up here that increases the strength of the whole structure without reducing ground clearance. It has circular holes to enable better airflow to the engine sump and allow all the debris to fall out. It also comes with this vertical brace, which provides even more structural benefits. And now onto the transmission plate, it comes with the same reinforcement up here for the exact same purpose, to distribute the force against the cross member. And this plate bolts and braces to the OE rails, making the bash plate much stronger. Plus it stiffens the whole monocoque for improved torsional rigidity. It accommodates all the variants of the Gen3 and Gen4 Pajero with the Jatco transmission, async transmission, if it's DPF, non-DPF, everything. So it's basically a one-size-fits-all solution. And since it's protecting the whole underneath of this section of the vehicle, you're able to cover the brake lines, the little solenoids on the side of the transfer case, O2 sensors on the exhaust. So the transmission mount comes with these side brackets right here, which provide more structural rigidity, improving the torsional rigidity and also preventing debris to get in here from the sides. And now with the transfer case plate, it's mounted with 3 brackets, of course made out of alloy too. I think there are 8 mil or so. And you first have to mount all the 3 brackets onto the transfer itself, and then you mount the whole main bash plate. One of the benefits of having this one is to protect the cast aluminum from the impacts that could crack or punch a hole in it. And of course, it also protects the wires that go in and out of the transfer case. Alright, so before jumping into the actual install of the plates, try to give your Pajero a good wash underneath. Wash the whole monocoque, the transfer case, the front diff, the transmission, and especially the cross member threads, because they tend to get some mud under. So now let's jump into the instructions. Here's the diagram. You can see all the bash plates included in the full kit and the required bolts for each bracket, which is very handy. So if you want to check a screenshot, go for it. So Red recommended me to start from the rear and work my way through the front. So in this case I fitted the transfer case plate first, and the actual first step for mounting that bash plate is to clean the threads. So grab a good M10 tapping set, some brake cleaner, degreaser, whatever you have to use, WD-40, whatever, and give them a good clean. It's 4 threads on the lower section on the passenger side, and they get lots of mud in them. So take your time and give them a good clean. So after that, just grab 4 M10 by 30 bolts and screw the passenger side bracket. And another good recommendation by Red is to use copper grease on every single bolt, just to make them easy to remove eventually if you ever have to. And this is how it should look once you have that bracket done. Now onto the output shaft bracket. Just remove 3 bolts from the existing black bracket that you can barely see here because my bloody muffler was covering half of it, so I'm sorry for that. So after removing those, just align the new bracket in place, slide it in. Be careful because the black bracket tends to move a little bit, and that can get some misalignment in the holes. So once again, take your time, don't mess with the threads because they're very delicate. And as you can see right here on camera, I was able to fit 2 bolts without any issues, and then the third one was giving me quite a headache, so here's how I fixed it. Alright, so something that came up, especially with this bolt, Aaron here was helping me with his magical hand, and he was just wiggling around with the pry bar for me to be able to fit that bolt, because otherwise it was quite misaligned, and if you keep trying doing that, you're going to damage the threads, and that's exactly what you don't want. So now it's in place, that one's in place, now I need to fit this one. So this is how it should look like: 2 bolts on the passenger side and 1 bolt on the driver's side. Now let's jump onto the final bracket. So the other thing that I just came up with is that this hole was completely clogged with mud, like completely. I'm gonna post a photo here to show you guys. And I thought that the hole was just not there, but it was just full of crap. So I used the same bolt to just push everything out from the front of the vehicle to the back. Now it's perfect. So after removing the mud from that hole, I was able to just slide the bolts through, and this one just uses 3 bolts, 2 M10 by 60 and 1 M10 by 30. Remember to use all the pressure washers and flat washers. So after that, you're ready to mount the bash plate. Don't do it like I did on camera. The first bolt that needs to go in is the one that goes into the tail shaft bracket. Just a couple of turns and then slide the bash plate in place through the slotted hole, and it's just gonna hold up on its own, and it's very easy, not like I'm doing it right here, holding it with one hand. You don't even have to do that. And after that bolt's done, just bolt the other 2 and you're done. This is how it looks, the final product. You can see some mud on the bash plates for these shots, and that's because they were filmed 1 month after I actually fitted the plates. So now you're ready to start assembling the transmission plate. This one's a little bit more tricky because it involves more parts, but other than that it's pretty straightforward and simple. Just follow the instructions. The first step is to mount the side plates. Pay attention here that the ones that go towards the front, that look like a triangle, they go on the outer side, and the other one that's bent in 90 degrees goes on the inner side of the plate. To mount these side plates, you have to use 5 M8 by 20 mm bolts on each side. The next step is to continue assembling the rear section of the transmission plate. So here you're gonna need the actual bash plate extension and the katana shaped bracket. This is a reinforcement that Red developed recently. You're gonna have to use 6 bolts. I'm using 5 because this is an older model, but you're gonna have to use 6 bolts, which are M8 by 25 mm. So just tighten them up, and then the whole bash plate is gonna look like this. So now you're pretty much ready to install the whole assembly into the vehicle, but before that, just make sure that the side plates are assembled on the right position, on the inner and outer side of the transmission plate. After you're sure that the whole assembly is correct, fit the 2 M8 by 25 mm bolts onto the cross member, just a couple of turns, and then gather all the items for the transmission mount bracket. Here, this is a good moment to actually replace the transmission mount, which is exactly what I did. So here's the part number in case you need it. The first step is to grab the bolt and slide a washer and mount it upside down, and then just do a couple of turns, leave it in place. Then just tighten the bolt against the transmission mount. Leave it pretty tight. After that, just fit the hex coupling nut from the underside of the transmission cross member, and it's gonna look like this, and tighten it. After that, it's as easy as just grabbing the transmission plate and sliding it onto the two bolts that we fitted before. Then just tighten the sides using an M8 by 25 mil on each side, and then just tighten the bash plate against the transmission cross member. And even though I'm using a rattle gun, as you may have seen through the video, I always recommend to do the final torquing with a traditional spanner or a ratchet or whatever you prefer, but just doing it by hand to not over tighten the bolts. Once you're done at the rear, just go to the front and tighten the first two bolts that we fitted, the front cross member. And now you're ready to fit the diff bash plate. First, grab two M8 by 25 mil bolts, fit them onto the cross member, and then just slide the bash plate in place. As always, you can just leave the bash plate hanging in there. The bolts are gonna take care of the weight. You don't even have to hold the bash plate in place, and that's great. I absolutely love that. Now fit two M8 by 40 mil bolts onto the front cross member underneath the intercooler basically. Just tighten them by hand, just a couple of turns, because you have to leave the bash plate a little bit loose just to have a gap in there that you're gonna require later when you're fitting the last bash plate. Now just grab the frontal bash plate and slide it in place. If you have a winch rope like I do and it's attached to the front recovery points, you're gonna have to remove it for a minute. And here's my dad covering the whole screen, so I'm sorry about it. But after the bash plate is in place, just grab the last two M8 by 40 bolts and tighten the upper section, and then just tighten all the bolts by hand that we fitted in the last two bash plates. Alright, so the bash plates are done. The process is quite simple, as you may have seen in the video. It's nothing too complicated. Hopefully these instructions are going to be easy for you to understand. If you have any questions, any concerns about the whole product, the installation, just reach out through Instagram or YouTube, or even reach out RHS. Red is going to be more than happy to give you guys a hand and answer all the questions that you guys need. And I've been driving with them for a while already, and I have to tell you, they are just absolutely great. I've been sliding through quite some gnarly obstacles, and I already have a couple of scratches in them, but that's what they're made for, right? It's really great being able to drive over obstacles and just not be concerned about doing any damage underneath, because you know everything is properly protected now. And if you were wondering if there's any rattling, any noise while driving, absolutely nothing. Just make sure all the bolts are properly tight, and with that new katana that Red developed, you're not gonna have any issues at all with rattling or weird noises. If it's your daily driver and you drive with your window down, you may notice a small difference with the actual engine noise. Since you have more surface down there, the sound is gonna echo a little bit more, but that's about it. So nothing serious. As I said, they're great, and the whole process was just beautiful to work. And I mean, look at them, they look great. So that's about it for this time. Red, thanks a lot. You are a legend, buddy. This product is just astonishing. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I've never seen something like this in the four-wheel drive industry. The amount of attention to detail and the quality of the build, amazing, buddy. So thanks a lot, and that's it. See you in the next video.